Employers, they also have to play their part. So what they have to do is to take on the responsibility of planning for adequate housing. We will provide land for them to build purpose-built dormitories, and they would have to then run these dormitories, manage them, educate the workers, educate them on the norms of behavior here, educate them on what they should and should not do, and generally manage the dormitories in a way that provides basic facilities, and also to make sure that they do not cause disturbance to the community. And when I talk about community here, I think they also have a large role to play. And the community, the people sector, can help to facilitate peaceful coexistence. These people are here to earn a living. They've left families behind. They've come here to earn a living. They work very hard. They need some time and some space to relax. So we have to try to accommodate and make sure some of these facilities are in place. I mean, their story is not different from, it reminds me of the story of our own forefathers. I think we need to understand, them, and I don't think sometimes some of the comments make a little bit over the top, So I think you shouldn't demonize them. I think you should humanize the whole thing. In the same way that when some of the comments about Serangoon Garden residents, I thought was also a little bit beyond the pale. Don't demonize them. The residents are there. They have concerns. So I would appeal that let everybody understand a little bit more about what is the issue. Understand the foreign workers. Understand the concerns of residents. Emotionally, I would say that we have to learn to accept. I can put in place physical buffers, but nothing I can do will bridge the mental barrier, the mental gap. So if people don't accept the presence of people who are different, who have different habits and so on, and try to make the effort, then I think that no amount of physical buffering will help. When we talk about townships in our when MND, HDB, we talk about townships, we talk about Toa Payoh, Ang Mo Kio, Tampines, Pasir Ris. And that's what we mean. So I think it's not that kind of township where I just want to explain that you don't have a whole new town, I don't know what, foreign worker town or something, where all foreign workers. So it cannot be, you see. So maybe campus, a complex or something like that. 20,000, 10,000, 20,000 people, fully self-contained with recreation, with all the minimum facilities put together in one or two places. That's possible. So I wouldn't call it a township, but I think the idea is that it is a self-contained, purpose-built foreign worker complex or campus. I think that's what we are heading towards. It's not segregation because they are not going to be totally self-contained, because they will come into town, they will go to the nearest estate for their weekends and all that. Most of the time today, the foreign workers don't mix with the local people, most of the time. But during their off days, during their off hours, then they go out. Right? So if we can minimize that, for example, by putting some of the... we've got approval to sell beer, for example, because that's one of the common complaints, that they go out and they drink. So we've got approval to sell beer in some of these dormitories, proper facilities for them. That helps to minimize. I am not saying that all foreign workers are angels, right? But neither am I saying that all of them are criminals. So the truth is that there will be some black sheep, and we'll deal with them. The truth also is that by and large, most of them are here to earn a living and not here to create problems. And the truth also is that some of them are actually exemplary. They work very hard. They're exemplary human beings. that same description, I believe, applies to Singaporeans as well. Not all Singaporeans are angels, but not all Singaporeans are criminals, right? So we're all here to all make a good life for ourselves. And if we can understand that they're actually here to help us, without them we will be worse off. Right? That's a fact.
So, Mr. Tan, while I admire the efforts that your neighborhood has put in, do you feel that there has been total acceptance? Do you yourself feel that you have really accepted foreign workers? For example, would you have coffee with them during tea?
Oh, right now, so I don't have a chance to sit down with them, okay, no doubt. But we have some patrol, this patrol together with the foreign rangers. Right? So, now we have to somehow still have to adjust ourselves. For instance, if we employ a maid, when the maid first came in, we also find very uneasy here and there because they are different from us, So we have to adjust ourselves, okay, to accept them, right? So these foreign workers is the same thing. They come here to, as Mr. Ma said, earn a living. Right? They are not here to create some trouble. So if we meet with them and associate with them, and I think surely we can establish the rapport. So there's no doubt of that.
Okay. All right.
All right, now many people have written to the Straits Times Forum page, and actually one of our major, right now actually we have a person calling in to Razor TV to talk about this matter right now. It's Stephanie Chok.
Yes, Stephanie is doing her PhD research in Australia in the area of corporate social responsibility.
And when in Singapore, she actually volunteers with transient workers count 2, is that it?
Yes.
All right. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks.
All right, tell us a little bit more about your experiences. Your experience when you were here, when you were last in Singapore to help out as a volunteer.
You mean to talk about my interactions with foreign workers through my volunteer experience?
Sorry, could you repeat yourself again? We are having a little bit of technical problem right now.
Yeah, I hear some echo. It's kind of loud. You mean you want me to talk about my volunteer experience?
That's right. How long, when was the last time you were here in Singapore?
I was back last year, and that was around when they had the International Migrants Day event. And I've been a volunteer with both TWC2 and Migrant Voices since 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, and so my friends and I, we do have people like friends. We consider some of our foreign workers friends as well. We hang out with them. Some of them on the weekends, and we invite them to our gatherings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that distinction that is made between them and us is quite a false one sometimes.
Okay, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Hey, so what prompted you to write that forum letter in?
I think it was a response to a lot of the views that were being expressed, and I felt quite disturbed by a lot of the prejudices that people were showing in the things that they said. Despite how they usually always say first, I'm not a racist, but I'm not prejudiced, but a lot of the assumptions that were underlying their claims demonstrate a very prejudiced view, and I wanted to express an alternative position, particularly from my own experience, as a volunteer with those organizations, and because I count some foreign workers among my friends.
Can you give us some examples as to what some of the comments were that really ruffled your feathers?
Well, I guess some of the insinuations that, people from certain nationalities are somehow inherently unhygienic, for example, that they're just dirty, that there's only so much you can do, but they're going to be also comment that if you put large numbers of people together from certain countries, they're going to start a riot. And examples are given about how riots started in other countries. But the problem for me there is that, we don't acknowledge what are the root causes of those riots. It's often because a lot of them are oppressed. They are working under pretty poor conditions, and
That's
so
right.
they voice, their dissatisfaction with the working conditions. And that's quite different from saying, we put large numbers of people together, they're just going to riot because they're inherently violent or something. So you can't divorce the context, of people's actions and then just attribute it to their race. That's prejudice.
So when you actually came into contact with these foreign workers, from your understanding, do you think the foreign workers in Singapore here would qualify as oppressed or anything near that?
Well, a lot of the conditions they work under are definitely exploitative, and in a way, the kind of it's a mix of a lot of things. We have a lot of restrictions placed on them. We have a recruitment process that leaves large numbers of them indentured by the time they arrive here, paying agency loans of $7,000 to $8,000 by the time they start. That's months of salary that they have to pay off. So if they encounter certain work situations that are unsatisfactory, the incentive to actually complain or leave that situation is very low.
Right.
So I definitely would think that there are many ways in which exploitation is embedded in the system, in the foreign worker system that we have in Singapore.
Okay.
On top of which we don't have a minimum wage, so we can't, regulate how low their wages go. So there are a lot of issues like that I think are problematic. Yeah.
Okay, so from your perspective, Stephanie, how do you think Singaporeans can work towards changing their minds? Do you agree with what Minister Ma has been saying?
I only heard the last few bits because I couldn't, when I logged on, I couldn't hear in the beginning. But I think some of the things she's saying are quite encouraging. I think, for example, when he said that, we shouldn't demonize them, and we should humanize them. I think that is an issue. I think a lot of times labor is commodified. We talk about workers and we only value them for what they contribute.
That's right.
And we really need to kind of humanize and accept, like he said, that there's a diversity of people, just as Singaporeans can behave well or badly. That's the same for every race and ethnic group, or wherever you are. So I'm quite encouraged that he's voiced those things. At the same time, I think there's a bit of a contradiction in some of the things he said. So saying that, but then at the same time, the idea of a self-contained complex, or sort of saying things like minimizing interaction with locals, then to me that's kind of contradictory, But I suppose from a practical perspective, I think he's trying to manage a situation that's quite tense at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Stephanie, one last question. You're doing corporate social responsibility, right? How is it possible for you to, it's all about sustainable models, etc. What is your suggestion to making this whole self-contained concept actually sustainable in the long run? How do you actually, integrate these workers into our society, but at the same time make it self-contained as well? Self-contain the workers as well.
I don't believe in the concept of a self-contained complex. I don't believe that segregation can ever be the cornerstone of a just and inclusive society. I think that it's a bit of an abnormal and unnatural situation, and it reminds me of a kind of post-colonial mindset when you want to segregate different people just on the basis of their race or ethnicity. So I don't actually believe that a self-contained complex or township, whatever you call it, is a sustainable solution.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, Stephanie. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right. It was good talking to her. Insightful conversation.
That was Stephanie Chok from Australia, a PhD student. And that's all we have for now.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you have gotten a better perspective on the issue. All right.
But before we leave you, here's our Razorism for the day. J.K. Rowling of Harry Potter fame says, "Understanding is the first step to acceptance, and only with acceptance can there be recovery."
Well said. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have enjoyed being on Point Blank with you, but all right, so don't go away because news is up next with Razor's Top 5.
Thank you.